The animal shelter always smelled the same, a mix of bleach, wet fur, and hope. To anyone else, the noise was overwhelming. It was a cacophony of barks, yips, and the clanging of metal latches against chain-link fences. But Elias didn't mind the noise. He knew that beneath the loud demands for attention, there was a silent language waiting to be heard. He walked past the front kennels, where the puppies jumped and pressed their wet noses against the wire, desperate for a touch. Elias smiled at them, but he didn't stop. He kept walking until he reached the very last run in the darkest corner of the building. Inside, curled tightly into a ball on a thin gray blanket, lay a dog the color of a storm cloud. He was a matted, trembling mess of a creature. He didn't bark, he didn't jump. He simply stared at the back wall, trying to make himself invisible. Elias knew the routine. He didn't reach for the latch or try to make kissing noises to get the dog's attention. Instead, he simply sat down on the cold concrete floor outside the cage. He crossed his legs, folded his hands in his lap, and lowered his head. He became as still as a statue. Time moved differently in the shelter. Minutes felt like hours. Elias watched the dust motes dancing in a single beam of sunlight that cut through the high windows. He focused on his breathing, making it slow and rhythmic, in and out, deep and calm. He was an anchor of peace in a sea of chaos. Inside the cage, the gray dog's ear twitched. It was a small movement, barely a flicker, but Elias noticed. He didn't look up, though. He knew that eye contact could feel like a challenge to a scared soul. He just stayed there, his presence a silent promise that he demanded nothing. After 20 minutes, Elias slowly reached into his pocket and pulled out a small piece of dried liver. With the precision of a clockmaker, he slid the treat through the chain-link fence. It landed on the concrete with a soft tap. Elias returned his hand to his lap and waited. The dog uncurled slightly. He turned his head. His eyes were wide, rimmed with the white of fear, but his nose worked the air. The scent of the treat was a powerful lure. The dog rose on shaky legs, his tail tucked completely beneath him. He took one step, then froze. He looked at the boy, waiting for a sudden movement, a loud noise, a grab. Elias remained made of stone. Emboldened by the boy's stillness, the dog crept forward. His paws made no sound. He stretched his neck out, snatching the treat before scrambling back to the safety of his blanket. Elias didn't cheer. He didn't clap. He simply slid another treat through the fence, this time a little closer to where he sat. They played this game for an hour. Inch by inch, the invisible wall of terror began to crumble. The boy's patience was a bridge, and the dog was finally stepping onto it. Eventually, there were no more treats. Elias rested his hand flat against the wire mesh, his palm open. This was the moment. The decision belonged entirely to the dog. The gray dog approached the wire. He sniffed the boy's knuckles. He smelled the soap on Elias's skin, the scent of the other dogs, and the underlying kindness. Slowly, with a heavy sigh that seemed to release years of tension, the dog pressed his side against the wire, leaning into the warmth of Elias's hand.
Such a sweet boy.
Elias moved his fingers, scratching gently behind the dog's matted ear. The dog closed his eyes. For the first time, his tail gave a tiny, tentative thump on the floor. Elias stood up slowly.
Hey there, buddy.
He unlatched
You're a
the
good
door.
dog, aren't you?
He didn't
I wish
need
I
a
could take
leash
you
to
home with
drag
me.
the dog out. He only needed the trust he had built in the silence. He clipped the lead onto the collar and stepped back. The dog hesitated at the threshold, looking back at the dark corner where he had hidden for so long. Then he looked up at Elias. The boy nodded once, a gesture of reassurance. Together, they walked down the long hallway, past the barking and the noise, and pushed through the heavy double doors. Outside, the air was fresh and sweet. The sun was bright. The gray dog blinked against the light, then looked up at the boy who had waited for him. They walked toward the
buddy,
car,
ready for the
leaving
day?
the shadows behind,
All right,
stepping
let's get going.
forward into a quiet, happy future.